The law of interaction. There are two forces of which called action and reaction forces and are the subject of Newton's third law of motion. Formally stated, Newton's third law is for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. The statement means that in every interaction there is a pair of forces acting on the two interacting objects.
The motion of an aircraft through the air can be explained and described by physical principles discovered over 300 years ago by Sir Isaac Newton. Newton worked in many areas of mathematics and physics. He developed the theories of gravitation in 1666 when he was only 23 years old. Some 20 years later, in 1686, he presented his three laws of motion in the Principia Mathematica Philosophiae Naturalis. The laws shown are the Newton's law of motion. Newton's law of motion. First law, every object persists in its state of rest or uniform motion in a straight line, unless it is compelled to change that state by forces impressed on it. Second law, forces is equal to the change in momentum per change in time. For a constant mass, force equals mass times acceleration, or F is equal to m times a. Third law, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction.
Push-ups. As we look on our first example, a man exerts a force by pushing down the floor. This we call the action. The more he accelerates, the faster and greater force exert. The mass of the body also affect the intensity of a man to deal with it.
Nakakapagod na. Buti pa yung sahig. Pag na-fall ka, sasaluhin ka.
Hammering on a nail. It shows how the nail reacts from the force exerted by the hammer. To simply discuss or explain, it was because the force exerted by the hammer on the nails is equal in magnitude and opposite in direction to the force applied by the nail on the hammer. That's the reason why the hammer looks like bouncing back to you when you are hammering a nail. Additional to that, there is no friction or sliding of the hammer. That's why when you started to hammer, it won't go anywhere but to bounce back.
Alam mo, parang ako tong pako na to. Kahit ilang beses mong pukpukin, di na nasasaktan kasi manhid na.
Because I'm waiting for you, waiting for this dream to come true, just to be with you. And if I die, remember this love.
Strumming a guitar. Every time you strum or pluck a guitar, you exert force, and as a result, it produces sounds. Based on the example, we can say that when the girl appears to strum her guitar, she exerted a force, which is the cause of vibration of the strings, which produces sounds. In this case, if we are going to connect or relate from the meaning and law of interaction, we can conclude that the action will be from the force exerted by the girl and the reaction will be the sound that was produced from the guitar.
Kawawa naman ako. Kasi ako, kahit taglamig na sa gabi, di mo man lang mayakap.
Kunin mo na ang lahat sa akin, wag lang ang aking mahal, wag lang ang aking mahal. Alam kong kaya mong paibigin siya.
Arm wrestling. When you apply force, your opponent also apply force to an opposite direction. In this example, it's just almost the same as pushing towards each other. The objective of this kind of game is to show or know who has stronger force between the two opponents. When the first player exerted the force, The second player doesn't have any other choice but to apply as well as a force so that he won't be beaten by his opponent. Just like pushing towards each other, the force exerted by the first and second body are equal in magnitude and opposite in direction.
Gave you the key when the door wasn't open. Just admit it.